This is our introduction. My name is Ivan Fuentes. I'm part of the Wingu team directly as Luis as well. I'm a consultant of digital solutions. And mainly, let's say that my specific area in which I am a specialist on is regarding CRMs, where we have been for 7 years. I've been involved in this for 7 years already. And actually, it's very good that you invited us in order to share this type of sessions. So I would like to give the floor right now to Luis. I joined the team of Wingo few months ago, also for the consultant in digital solutions, and I work also in some university centers in some universities here in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I also give the matter the subject of data in order to help the students with whatever they want to implement in the future. Perfect. So I will start here, which is our main data, which is data storage. And how can we do data storage? Maybe we can start with the theoretical part, which is very important, at least to have this database. Why? Why it's important to have data within our organizations, for example, for Diana, which is the objective in order to store all this data after the interviews. And the consequences or the following step is what for you are doing it. Is there any purpose? Also, it's important to know which type of data are being requested in certain forms, etc. So our main topic is here data storage. And here we're going to show some tools that we recommend. And from the organizational point of view, it's going to be very effective. And for sure, you're going to make a lot of profit from them. So this is a meme that always that we talk about data, it might be an unknown world, and also to understand everything that we can do here. But I think that by understanding this type of concepts will be a little bit simpler for you. So we have three questions here. Because of the quantity of attendees that we have, maybe we can go a little bit quicker. And maybe this Diana is very interactive, and maybe we can focus a little bit more on her, and whomever wants to dare to write in the chat whether they know or not what a database is. Maybe Diana and the rest of the attendees can help us to interact here, to engage, if you know what a database is. Well, Diana believes yes, that's good. And lastly, if all this, maybe if you have worked with this, do you think that a database can help you? In this case, for your organization, Diana, or for any other that is listening to us over there? Well, we have then Diana here, and she's saying yes. And this is just to introduce the part of the definition. If you at least have an idea of what a database is, this is what Luis is going to explain a little bit more into detail in the following slides. Well, now the other question is why the database may be the treasure of your organization. Sometimes we say that a database is something that we treasure, as we have mentioned it here. So here, taking this into consideration, we believe that this is like the midpoint, the core point that we have in our organizations, because with this database, we will be able to make strategic decisions in order to create different campaigns and with different objectives, as fundraising or mobility or beneficiaries or different programs that we do within our organizations, and other activities that you may be able to implement in the future. So to us, it's very important what the database concept is, and especially to have it installed internally in our organizations. So I would like to give the floor to Luis right now in order to get to know a little bit more about some basic definitions that may be related to this topic. Perfect. And well, here we have seen the definition, but what happens normally is that we confuse what is data with information sometimes. So it is important that this definition is very clear when we define as an organization what do we want to collect or what do we want to store. So I'm going to move a little bit faster here. And what I'm going to ask is the following. Here we can see the number 55 and you can define it. You can tell me whether this is information, if it is a data, or if it is both, maybe. Someone dares to answer this question in the chat? It is important to start defining this because nowadays the organizations and for many theories of the organization, I don't know if you have heard about Peace Rocker, that is from the contemporary theoretical people that is one of the most important ones. But right now, data is one of the main assets that an organization will have. At a certain moment, we were talking about human resources or the economic capacity, real estate, but furniture. But right now, there is a big emphasis that the most important thing that an organization has is information. And here, for sure, there are certain examples about it. Even the is said that if Google will lose all its economic assets, will be able to reinvent itself once again, thanks that the information or the data is well managed. So, in the previous slide, we're gonna see the different definitions for this. What we are gonna find is that the data is a main element of the information that could be formed by symbols, by letters, numbers, or drawings. And actually, when they are gathered is when they're gonna have a meaning altogether that are gonna describe empiric facts, events, and entities. And here it's very important to make clear that 55, like this by itself, it's not telling me anything. I don't know what is mentioning. I don't know if there is a measurement of a unit of measurement that are assimilated to this 55. I don't know if it is $55, pesos, kilos, units, and I don't know with what is making reference to. I don't know if they are talking about television, radio, pieces of radio, computers, but we don't know. So this type of data is not going to be useful if I collect it because I'm not giving a meaning. So what I'm going to, with the ones that I'm going to be working is with information. So what comes next? The data with a meaning. So we have here an example. If I say, well, my name is Ivan, I am 29 years old and I live in Mexico City. My weight is 55 kilograms and my height is 1.60 meters and I work in Wingo and I'm interested in sports. All this I'm storing it in certain chart. So for example, here in the column it says to which type of reference or which is the reference that I'm making. So Ivan, this is a name, 29 is the age, and all this together, all this data together in this context is gonna tell me or it's gonna provide me what I need to work, that is information, because for work I need information. So here is a little summary. So what we are gonna find is actually that the different users or the different people that are going to be contributing to the data, what we're going to do as an organization is to process it in order to obtain information. And what for I'm going to need this information so that later on, after an analysis, I can increase my knowledge the knowledge of my organization. And basically, I can summarize this by saying that the information will allow me to improve the decision making process of my organization. If tomorrow I want to say, well, actually, I would like to improve the processes of my organization. I want to improve the decision making times. I want to improve the effectiveness with the one I'm doing the service. So what do I need to do? Well, to work with the information first of all, to be able to collect it. And well, by resuming the main question that was done by Ivan, what is a database? Here we can see that it's going to be a set of data with certain characteristics. And the data that form a database will belong to the same context, and all of them will be part of the same structure. So here, the partner number, we have it here in the same column, as well as the age. And all of these will belong to the same context. These will be part of the partners or members of an organization, for example. And here we have some other examples of what it could be a database or what cannot be a database. So we're gonna be talking about this little by little. If I have a file with the different writings that the people that is involved is executing. So, for example, we're working with the volunteers, and we have five or six. Members of the organizations that are giving follow up to the volunteer activities. So, if I have a form and for the volunteers and everybody is going to be adding up their contributions, their annotations, this is not going to be a database because this is not meeting the two conditions of our definition of the database. Are we talking about the same context? Yes, in this case we're talking about context, the same context, because it's a volunteer database, but it's not complying with this other part that it should be um, stored in a structured manner. Because maybe there is a tutor, maybe there is a person that, I don't know, they record the age for the volunteers. There could be others that they will not collect the age but the date of birth, and there will be another one that will collect a profession and another one that will not. So here, if then I would like to unify the information, I cannot do this in a simple manner. Then if we go to the next example, regarding a contacts list, for example, a telephone contact list, maybe we can say here that there are certain limitations because there are some fields that are restricted and I cannot insert more data than the one that my telephone application will allow me. But yes, I can collect the ones that are allowed in a structured manner and always talking about the same context. That is people that I would like to send a text message or doing a call to them. Then here we have an agenda. So in this sense, it's going to be the same thing as in the previous example. Here is digital and here is analog. In this example, yes, we're going to manage this data in a structured manner, and this system, I will be able to add all the fields and will be able to collect all the any other data that in the future may appear. And when I talk about Excel, then we'll need to check. In each of the templates of Excel, we'll need to check if we're gonna consider it or not. It depends on the information that I have. If I'm saving information, storing information about the same context, and I'm not mixing in the same page data of volunteers with data of donations, I will if I'm able to divide them, then it will be a database. But this depends on how you manage the columns. If I want to have something well structured, if I'm gonna collect the telephone numbers of the volunteer members, then they should be at least in different columns and not in the same column, because we'll need to process it and to send a WhatsApp message in an automatic manner. If I have certain numbers within the same cell, then I'll have problems with it. So here we need to see how we are creating our Excel template in order to be able to identify whether it's a database or not. A good database has no colors. It's only focused on information. It is flat. There are no mathematical formulas. So for example, a formula, a multiplication, a subtraction, or an addition, and it has some specific function. In this case, it could be okay to collect information about volunteers, to collect the personal data of the volunteers. And on the other side, we are also documenting it so that the humans understand it. And this is very important. Many times in the organizations happens this. Well, a coordinator will take these annotations in their agenda. They will define the database that they are gonna use, and then this person will go and then do not have a backup for it to see in which form the telephones were saved, if there is the code of the region or not, the country or not, which is the data that are mandatory, which are the ones that I can leave for later. So here it's very important to insist from our role, and as you are able to do it, that anybody that is writing down the information in the database, they need to complete it. This is another chart. So here I have a database tool in my organizations. If I don't have it, I'm always in the possibility of building it up. Sometimes can take us more to depurating it. Sometimes can take us less time, or sometimes we're in the situation in which I haven't collected any type of information. So here is the ideal moment to design the database. And also we can start thinking a first database. There are infinite tools with the ones that I'm going to be able to work. Even the people from Wingo can help us and consult us on how to continue with this following stage. And if I have the tool, then it will be always to see which is the type of it in order to see the logic of information that I need to follow in order to make a decision later on, to know if I have different distributed Excels, if I have a unified database, to know if I work with certain type of CRM or RP. And here, yes, as a mandatory field, to know that in any organization, it doesn't matter the size or the infrastructure, you can have a really good database that is well ordered and well nourished. Ivan, I think that already sent a link, and if you don't have a database currently, this is an idea. This link provides an idea of how to continue with it and how we're going to build it up. We need to have an objective. We need to also be able to define the recollection tools that I'm going to be able to use. And there are thousands. Many of them are for free. Some of them you need to pay. But you don't need to know about programmation in order to collect information. Maybe you already know some of them, but also there are other tools that we're going to show you next and that you can use in order to automate a little bit your tasks and to do the recollection part in an orderly manner. So we need to work with security, and security doesn't mean only to be able to define that whomever is interested in this are the ones inserting the information, but also I can define different processes that will allow us the storaging of information, as it could be a security copy or the replica or the copy of the information in many other places. Data standardization. And with these four features or guidelines, I'm going to be able to build up a database. This is a little bit of what we already mentioned in the previous slide, and something very important that could happen in the organization. It could be a little bit complicated, and we could foster the implementation of the database for those processes that are touching different areas. Because the idea actually is to use it. Because if I'm going to implement a database that is going to recollect information about donors, about volunteers, about community centers, about service to the target community, and if I'm just going to manage it and I'm just going to throw the information in regarding volunteers and not the rest of it, because I will not be doing an objective use of the database, I need to achieve the goal that the different areas that are, for example, in the donor area can also fill in the gaps and fill in the fields. So how can I involve the people? Maybe here it would be important to mention a little bit about the advantages that a database will have, the redundancy. When I say redundancy, I mean that the information is going to be replicated for all the different stakeholders that are going to consult this information. So, for example, if I have a volunteer that is also a donor and they modify a email, it will help me to duplicate this or to replicate this information, this change, so that it is changed not only in his volunteer profile but also in his donor profile. So this may be focused to a different sector of my organization to focus on this database and to implement it correctly and promptly. Then we have the security topic, and in which we are able to do to not lose the information, to back it up. And then we're gonna have not another topic, and not because of this it's less important, the opportunity to query the information at the same time. Maybe we're working with community centers that are 5 kilometers one far away one from the other, and we collect the information in paper, and we don't have the possibility to consult or to query the information at any moment and several people at the same time. And this could be achieved with a database. Just with a connection to internet, we'll be able to solve this problem. So, well, the advantages are a lot, and this will be always a good idea. What do we need to define next? It is necessary to collect every data or not? What do you think about this? For example, if I work with service for LGBT community and I want all this data, do I need to collect everything? The weight, the height, are those data that I need to collect? Diana wrote something very good. Exactly, Diana. It is important to collect the information. We cannot go to the other extreme, that will be to collect information of everything. Why? Because then we're losing a lot of time, not only for the people that is collecting the survey, but also for the organization to which we belong, because we need to process all this data. And many times, not only this is going to be modify the visual part, but also it's going to use our time, that it will help us to analyze better the information that is very uh, adequate or appropriate for our organization. So I need to collect the interest data, the common interest data that are of common interest for the organization. And that's it. When we talk about personal data, maybe we can talk about the name, last name, the identification, gender, if it could be applicable, the date of the birth, the age, the zone, email, cell phone, complete address. These are just some examples. They could be applicable or they could not be applicable, but it is important to dedicate a little bit of time to define this relevant data for the organization. Tools that we may recommend for the recollection of data. We're going to send you a link with advantages and disadvantages of each of them, but well, for the recollection of data via web or via cell phone, we can recommend Code Toolbox, MacP, Fulcrum, or Google Forms. Maybe Google Forms, you know it. But talking about mapping, we have two other tools that some of them are called ArcGIS and Collector and SMAP. And for the messages, that is talking about SMS or WhatsApp if you work in another different location or in another place where internet access to internet may be a little bit more complex. There are some other tools that can help us. As I was mentioning, Engage, Spark, and MacP. Do I need to use all of them at the same time? No. You can choose one to research on it, and this is important as well because most of these tools, if I enter into the website, they will tell me about the advantages and disadvantages. Even if I use Google, I can also compare from against one or the other, and this is going to help us to have more forms during the month in order to see which is free, which is with a fee, and if I can integrate some other tools. Can we talk about Kobo Toolbox or any of these tools? There should be a need in order to collect data because just because of that, like this, or because for the sake of collecting data, we shall not doing it. We need to have a need. And for example, here you will have the need of mapping. Just giving you an example, those organizations of the state where you would like to establish different complaints or yeah, complaints because of the different location where there is no access to internet, for example, those places where I'm talking about mobility, especially where in which places there are more migrants, for example. Exactly. Even taking Ivan's example, it's very good. Talking about mobility, some organizations of the state where there is no a ramp in some organization facilities, I can map this very quickly because Kobo Toolbox is going to be a tool that will allow us to do this mapping. And here we have the characteristics. It could create forms in a quick and easy manner, like a drag and drop option. It would not be necessary to know about programming because I will be able to work with the question blocks, for example. I can also build up formular forms with validations and with more complex logics. And also I have different type of questions to be asked, whether they're gonna be multiple option or or with a checkbox. There will be a check in order to answer yes or no, and it will be easy to share with users and collaborational work. I can build up these tools and to analyze them not only me, but also with other users of my organization. And we can import and export to XLS form in order to work with the Office package later on. Regarding the data recollection, we can do it online, we can do it offline with Android, for example, with synchronization via SSL. We can configure a backup system in order to maintain the integrity of the information and the loss of data, which we want to avoid. And this is very important. Well, the data are going to be enabled in an instant manner and in real time. So if we are doing service on paper, this was the biggest problem because I go out to make some service to the different interest points or locations regarding discrimination, for example, and the people that were doing the service, what they needed to do then, they needed to set or to insert this information to different systems. It could be an Excel sheet or a database or a CRM. and this will take them double time, and sometimes this time may be very extensive, because if every survey applicant did 200 surveys, then it will take them a lot of time. But well, if I work with an automized tools, all this data, I'm gonna have them instantaneously and in real time in my tool. So I'm gonna be able to start with the analysis information of before, and I'll be able to make a decision in a quicker manner. So this database actually is being helped by the tool. We cannot create reports and summaries, which can allow us to recollect the data, such as a mapping or a type of these mapping tools, and also to export this data at any moment.
And we're going to have access to an API to have additional development and certain processes. For instance, if after the survey what we find is probably an insatisfaction with the possibilities that certain organization is offering in terms of complaints, then they can send this registration and we can extend that additional information as well. Now it's Ivan's turn to speak, and he will be talking about all these data storage tools. Thank you, Luis. I'm gonna do it faster because of the time. But what we do in Wing, or maybe as a summary of what Luis just said, through different tools, storage tools, we collect all that information. But what do we do with this information that we already have? Something important to mention is that we have certain tools where we can storage the data, and these are robust tools that allow us to collect thousands of records, and we don't have any issues with the storage and the capacities.
We're going to talk about this also, because Salesforce is an organization, is a company
It's a,
that which a general objective is a
and in this tool, we also find the fundraising aspect, that is .r, and this company offers free licenses for nonprofit organizations. So they are giving away 10 licenses whenever they want to use them, so that they have these tools. We have Wingu Data, and this is a product that we elaborate in Wingu. You can access that with your password, and it storages all the data in the cloud. And of course, it provides all the benefits that any other data storage tool can offer. To tell you more about this CRM, we have a customer relationship management tool. Normally, we manage customers' relationships, but we also have an aspect for fundraising and those kind of organizations. So that is the .org. This is helpful for organizations like ours, and we have a space dedicated for these kind of organizations in the platform. So what is this offering to our organizations? Well, basically, you will have the possibility of recording the data of individual donors, all your strategic contacts, such as suppliers, or if you are uh, collaborating with private sector companies, you can also include those allies in that database, just to know who are your strategic allies, your sponsors, etc. All the actions that you have from the charity, the mobility. Who are these people that have been on the move? What are the benefits? All the metrics that at the end of the day are going to give you a much better result that you are expecting to get in your organization. Also, in the aspect of segmentation and data analysis, it helps us with the massive communication that we have internally in the platform. You can send emails. This is for free. There are other platforms that also have this characteristic, and basically that mail strategy. All of this together will help us improve our decision making process after analyzing all this data. Wingo in this case is going to help us make better decisions because now we know exactly what's happening with our campaigns. We can analyze the high level metrics. Maybe if we are able to replicate certain strategies that could benefit our organization. So, in general terms, basically, if you have any kind of donation, you can record it and you can manage three things. The fundraising aspect, you can record all of your information regarding fundraising from day one on, until the up to the end when the person is already established as a donor of your organization. So this is a person that can give you support with the fundraising aspect, but with other things as well. Also, we have contact with volunteers, social programs. It allows you to know more about the social programs and the management of volunteers. We know this is very important. It's important, for instance, to have a mobility program and other things that Diana was mentioning, for instance, in her organization, uh, specifically for the for the popular community LGBTI. It's important to follow up. So if you continue on that path, we will see this big picture, which is 360. In one single platform, you will know very well your beneficiaries. You will see the interactions that you have with them, activities, fundraising, meetings, how many donations you have from these people. You can interact with those people. Also, a summary of reporting. It allows you to visualize the behavior of all of these aspects in one single platform. In our case, we have a success case, which is the Agency for Refugees, ACNUR, or UNHCR. Probably you know it very well. We were helping them to segment and to have all of their information in one single platform.org. And we implemented that from Mexico. Also, Luis worked with them in Argentina. We supported them, and they kept the record of all the strategies, donors, campaigns, and the profile of the donors so that they know how much they have donated, when they stopped donating, all those things that led to a better decision making process. Something important that I want to show you is how they manage some of these programs. I am going to be showing you this demo and how they manage this software. Let me work this out. Obviously, because of the confidentiality issues, we cannot disclose the real thing, so it will be a demo. But I am going to share my screen. Okay, I think that you can see my screen, right? Yeah. Okay, great. So basically, what you're looking at is a platform that we have online, Servo. They give a donation, it's for free. And what you can see here is the management of the different programs. What do I mean by that? Okay, here I have a tab where I can click and see all the programs that I am carrying out within the organization. For instance, the example is the Opportunity Without Borders. This is one of the programs that we're doing. And here I can look at the description of the program, the objective, the date when we started it, the people that I am supporting. So in this way, in one single screen, I can look at the whole thing. I can see who the participants are, like for instance, Evaristo is a volunteer. He registered because he wants to support this program. We have Luis, probably he's a service provider. Why? Well, maybe because we need to supply some food workshops or any other workshop, and Luis is going to be in charge of that. And we also have Maria, and she's a beneficiary. She will be working directly with the population that we want to support. Over here, you can also look at the services. You can have health workshops or food kits that we are going to be delivering weekly. We have the date and all the details of the operation and other things, for instance, other programs. And here you can look at the profile and the sub programs of the main programs. For instance, here I have a list. For instance, um, Opportunities Without Borders, quarter one, quarter two, quarter three. And the sub programs help me to visualize the impact that I am having every 3 months. And it also allows me to visualize how the population or how the things are changing. Maybe there was some sort of event or obstacle where we couldn't reach our goal because there was a move, maybe from Argentina to Venezuela or Venezuela to Mexico, things like that. So when looking at those programs, of course, here we'll see reflected the impact of all these adverse events that happened. Over here, we can also look at other topics that or aspects that we need to give a follow-up. The participants, for instance, if I want to look at Maria's profile, I can click her name and then I can look at her information. Maybe she was working only during the first quarter, and we can look at the status if she's registered or if she's no longer working in the program. And also we can have some assessments. How are we measuring this? How we can help this? How we can measure impact that we want to cause for every people that we are supporting. Going back to the services, for instance, food kit. Here I can see the description of it, like 20 people are being the recipients of this kit. And as you can see here in the platform, you have the link you have the link to all this information. For instance, the dates of each month when we are delivering these lunch boxes or kits. And here you have the status, if it's pending or if it's done. We can confirm that the activity was done and that it was indeed delivered. Who are the participants of that service or the recipients of that service? Maybe we have some volunteers that are going to be helping us with the delivery of these lunch boxes. Who are the organizations? Who are the donors that are going to give donations, not monetary donations, but maybe food or some sort of support? You can record all of those details in the platform. And then at the end, this allows you to know in a general aspect what was the impact for that sector of the population after implementing this kind of program. Over here, you have other tabs that show you the metrics, like a picture. What was the result of your program? What happened afterwards? Here you have the beneficiaries. If I update this, I can look at it in real time, all the data, all the impact, all the programs that I have, all the participants that I have per program, the types of people that are supporting us, if they're beneficiaries, customers, volunteers. And here I have the programs like transportation, lunchboxes or food kits, um, workshops, etc. And here I have all the description. What else? In the database, if I go into the contacts, I can look at people in specific. For instance, Evaristo, he was a volunteer, so I click his name and then you have his information displayed. This is like a 360 photograph. And Evaristo, here I have the information where he works. He works at Wingu. And here I have the donations that he has done. I see that he's a recurrent donor. Also, he has donated his time. He has been working with migrants, when he worked, for what kind of program, etc. And here I have other information like the date and the donations that this person has done. So in Salesforce, this is a platform that doesn't have one single objective, but this is a platform that gives you the possibility to segmentate and to have all of your information in a single platform. The best part of this is that we could customize or adapt this for any kind of organization as long as you have a very well distributed database. And you can have maybe just 3 people, or you could have more than 50 people like a CNUR organization. So this is just a demo. I think our time is up, but if you have any questions or anything that you want to tell us, you can contact us directly. And this is how we basically finish this presentation. If there are a couple of questions, well, we still have 2 minutes left, more or less. But yeah, my objective was to show you the tools that could be very useful for your organization so that you distribute surveys, and for you to look at the type of donors that you have, etc. Every piece of information in one single platform. And in that case, you can avoid having Excel spreadsheets and things like that. Luis is entering our email addresses on the chat. In case you want to contact us, you can mail us directly, and I'll be more than happy to help you and to support you, to give you more information. So I think this is it. Okay, Vero is telling us that after this session there will be coffee break to exchange experiences and maybe to do some networking. Maybe you can find very similar organizations and you can share your experiences. So on my part, thank you very much for having me. Yeah, me too. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for joining, and we're in touch. Thank you. You can mail us. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you, Luis. Thank you. Bye.